This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring author, psychologist, and daily contributor, Shavaun Scott.
The parents of Gabby Petito have settled with the parents of Brian Laundrie. Of course, this is the case that many have been following now for many, many years. The story of Gabby Petito being murdered by her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, and then the saga of that, not knowing or pretending to not know anything about the death, the family, the Laundries going camping, hoping and praying for Gabby's return. Well, it turns out they knew she was dead for quite some time, allegedly. And a civil case brought against them for that behavior, that lack of empathy, that lack of showing any sort of human decency to another family that has a daughter that is missing. A case that I don't think was ever about money, but more so about emotions and doing the right thing. And now it is settled. Joining me to discuss, Shavaun Scott, psychotherapist and author. That being said, yeah, I don't think it's ever been about money. I don't think the Laundries necessarily had a lot to give at the end of the day. But why do you think this finally came to an end all these years into it, literally about 2-3 months before this was supposed to go to trial?
Yeah, you nailed it specifically. That was my thought, that they needed to be heard. They needed to say what they wanted to say. They needed to express all the gamut of pain and anger that they've been through. And a skilled mediator can help people hear each other and help people come to some sense of emotional closure. And so my guess is they had a good mediator and everybody was able to communicate, and they felt understood, they felt heard, and that some kind of amends were made. And I'm glad if that's the way it went.
It is a confidential resolution. Doesn't mention anything about monies or anything of that nature. I would hope at the very least their attorney fees were taken care of. But what do you think they did here? What do you think happened with that mediation that made the Petitos finally say, okay, we are good, we're going to move forward, we want to have some peace and move forward in a positive light with the legacy of Gabby?
Yeah, my guess is that the mediator gave them the opportunity to look each other in the eye and express exactly how they were feeling and how the Laundrie's behavior had impacted them. And then in all likelihood, if I were mediating, I would have given the Laundrie's opportunity to explain what had been going on with them and to make amends and apologize. And when that was successfully done, then it probably opened the door for some kind of other resolution about the money or whatever. But yeah, it wasn't about the money.
No, I don't think it ever was. This seemed to be more about the journey than the destination. And I think they probably had to go down this journey to get where they needed to go, mentally, I would think. I mean, it's a very private thing, for these families. Obviously, many people have been invested in talking about it, but at the end of the day, it's about these two sets of parents who lost their daughter, Gabby, and were really victimized horribly by the Laundries in that process. Something that never really needed to take place the way that it did. But I guess the only way that some of these things would have come out, because there was no criminal prosecution against the Laundries, was to take this civilly. And through that process, never made the Laundries have to come out and say, look, we did this, we did that. It all just kind of came to the surface through various documents and various discoveries and pieces like that. And I think the public did get to see exactly who the Laundries were through all sorts of pieces, and also who the Petito family is as well. Is this what it was all about? Never really truly getting to that end point, but just, we're going to expose you, but not with force. It's just going to kind of come. And then that's going to, over time, kind of give us the peace that we need as they tried to navigate life after Gabby.
Yeah. I think it was a really important process for them to be able to do that, to feel like the story was told, the truth became apparent over time, and then the need to express how their behavior, how the Laundrie's behavior impacted the Petitos. And I think once they got to do that, it was like, okay, we're feeling more at peace about this now.
What do you think Gabby's legacy will be? Obviously, we've talked about abuse. We've talked about things of that nature that, goes unchecked, goes untalked about because people don't want to it's embarrassing sometimes to say that your significant other is doing this to you. It's painful. It's hurtful. It's shameful to a certain extent, but it's obviously not the victim's fault. What sort of impact with people learning about this story do you think she'll have going forward?
I think it's a tremendous opportunity, particularly for younger women who perhaps have not had so much education about the various ways domestic violence is perpetrated.
Mm-hmm.
And because of her age and her popularity and the publicity that this case got, that it's raised awareness and will ultimately have an impact. She was somebody that anyone would have looked at her as beautiful, smart, successful, and had everything going for her. And yet this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has a really good message for younger women who may not be aware of it.
Yeah, that not everything is as perfect as it may appear on the surface on social media. It's okay if something bad is happening behind the scenes, but you can do something about it rather than trying to always keep the appearances up.
Yeah.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.